friends, welcome back for another Decorate with me. I'm Alessandra, and today we will be creating a most fabulous wedding inspiration inspired by the Danbury Ball. Now, Lady Danbury is amazing and truthfully life goals for a lot of us. I think she's smart, she's independent, witty, and a fabulous dresser. She is also one of the first balls that we see in the first season of Bridgerton. It's classic, you can't go wrong. Lots of creams, ivories, greenery, crystals. I mean, look at her. She looks amazing. She's like the beacon of her ball. So, moving forward, let's see what we know about this ball. You're not focusing on the decorations necessarily, but this is one of those scenes where you saw the ballroom that these people were in. You saw the extravagant crystals, the curtains, the greenery, the beautiful candelabras that are everywhere. I mean, it's layers of crystals and columns and just elegant everything. Like, you can't go wrong. Everything is beautifully styled. This could really work for a wedding in the winter. It could work for a wedding in the spring, summer. This is one of those combinations I think you could use year round. We see here in this moment, the group here is kind of dressed to the theme of the ball. I'm sure the stylist for Bridgerton did that on purpose. You notice that every season or every ball that you see, a lot of the cast members are wearing clothes that are all kind of themed. So you'll see blue ones and red ones later on. So you can tell just from what people are wearing in this, the ivories, the crystals, a lot of neutrals, a lot of elegant neutrals. So that's what we're going to focus on. Now, two things stood out to me. One, we see this mantle piece over here, this beautiful arrangement, lots and lots of greenery with some white floral mixed in. And then behind Simon over here, we see this beautiful trumpet vase on a column. There's feathers, there's, I'm assuming, some sort of wisteria, some beautiful vines going down there. Beautiful and actually very easy to do, very attainable. Most florists can do this no problem. And you know what? I think you could too with the right flowers, especially in silks. So my brain naturally saw this mantelpiece and went, you know, this is pretty much a wedding arch. Like, you could stick this on a wedding arch and that would be gorgeous. And so that's kind of what I aim to do. I used this beautiful frame, wedding frame from Shop Wild Things, and I'm not paid by them or anything. I just like doing this, and they have some really great stuff. So I'll link everything down below, whether I got from them, from wherever. All the links that I used to create this, don't worry, they will be in the description down below. So if you feel compelled to try to DIY this yourself, you can. So anyways, we've got this beautiful square frame. I thought, okay, that's very appropriate for this. We're going to start there. And I went ahead and figured, okay, well, we're already using this stand. Let's take some of these boxwood wall panels that they have, wrap them around it. They also have these beautiful white rose panels that they have. So they're all faux, and you can make them, you know, whatever size and shape you want. Essentially, with zip ties, you can wrap any structure that makes sense. And so that's what I did. And so here, I thought, okay, we know we're going to use some boxwood because there's a lot of greenery, but there's a little bit of elements of white. And I was like, you know, that kind of reminds me of this urn combination that we made for our first Decorate With Me, inspired by the Bridgerton family home in London. So we made this urn previously in another episode, Decorate With Me. Check that out later if you want. But I went ahead and upgraded it to be a little bit more similar to this piece here. And you're probably like, what are we doing? I thought we're making an arch. And you're not wrong, we are. But I want to see what elements that we're making here to create this kind of urn combination, because that's what's going to impact what we use on the top arch. So we know that we have this beautiful urn that's been upgraded. And so now you can probably see where I'm going with this. We have this piece of essentially arrangement of urn flowers. It's going to be small. It's only a couple of feet, maybe with all the flowers in there, which look very similar now to this arrangement that we have up here. So when we go ahead and we take some of the vine roses that Shop Welding has, they have these fantastic bendable stem roses. I love their amaranth. I've personally purchased some from them before, and I use it. Actually, I used it last year in my feathering inspired spring tablescape. We have a wrapped arch essentially with boxwood and roses. And so we have all these floral that we want to use to replicate this. And so I went ahead and did it because it's a long process with all the graphic work, but I essentially deconstructed the urn, added in the rose garland, the bendable rose. I added a little fern. Shop Wild Things has these amazing craft roses that you can get by the box, and they're very, they come in so many different colors. I mean, you could make it this whatever color you wanted, but I stuck with whites and ivories and greens in this design, and here we are. All of a sudden we have this beautiful design, which I quite like. I think it looks really great. So, cleaning up the screen a little bit so you can see what the finished thing looks like. So now you can see we have our urns here at the bottom. They look nice. We put some ferns in there just to cover up the base because you don't usually, whenever possible, you don't want your hardware to show. And so I think, now obviously I'm doing this with silk flowers on a computer and I'm not doing it in real life, but it's very, very easy to get from here to here and somewhere in between. Now, of course, if you have the budget and the resources, go ahead and have a professional florist do it. But if you wanted to do something like this yourself, check out one of my videos that I did of a glam fall, I turned it into a table runner initially, then it got turned into a backdrop. I show you how you can take a pool noodle and some other basic materials and turn it into fantastic displays like this. We've got our wedding altar done. Beautiful, I mean, absolutely beautiful. Photo under this would look gorgeous, especially if you were if this was an evening ceremony and you hung some candles or something, maybe some crystals if you wanted to. It looks beautiful. This is a screenshot that I found online of a behind the scenes moment that the cast shared of the venue, essentially, that they recorded in. Now you can see it's multiple stories. There's beautiful crystal chandeliers that have candelabra, I mean, what multi-million dollars, I'm assuming, just in crystal in here. But you can also see beautiful cascading florals over the edge. A lot of greenery in here. Beautiful chandeliers here, ivory going up and down the columns. You can see the arrangement that we were using for inspiration. So very, very elegant, very clean. So when I was thinking about, okay, we got the wedding altar done, we have a beautiful ceremony, then we're going to go into a venue, maybe something like this. I don't know. It could be your backyard. It could be a local venue. I don't know. A beautiful hotel. So many different options. So I thought, okay, what would I want to put in a place like this? And I came up with these linens. Now, these are linens that I selected from BBJ Linen. I've used them personally in my my professional career for many, many years. They have a huge selection of sizes and colors online. These are the ones that I identified as great. They also do shipping, so even if they're not technically in your area, they will ship linens to you as a rental if you want, and then you just put them in a great duffel bag and you ship them back. Obviously, if you have somebody local that you want to use that has similar linens, go for it. I just want to get the ball started. And I'm assuming in a ballroom like this, you're going to have, 50 to 75, maybe 100 people if you were doing a sit-down dinner. So I don't want to have too many competing colors, and this is not the time to have the over-the-top linen, in my opinion. So we've kept with beautiful textured creams and a nice rich forest green linen. And then for an accent linen, just to mix it in, I found this beautiful linen with kind of a check, not a check, but a nice diamond pattern that has a little gold, a little shimmer. And I've seen this linen, I've even used it as a sample linen for a client, and they loved it. They're very beautiful linens. You can't go wrong. If you aren't up for renting linens, I get it. It's a lot and it's scary sometimes. But I do later on share some linen alternatives if you want to just have a Danbury inspired dinner party at your home and you just need one or two linens you need to buy online. Don't worry, I got you. Stay tuned. Okay, so we've got the linens. We know where we're going with this. And I was like, I can't leave this alone. Like, this is a centerpiece waiting to happen. Although, if you got this from a florist, it could be very, very expensive. You could make this yourself with silk floral, if you were so inclined, and that's something that I would have probably opted for, especially if I'm doing this only, a few tables worth. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do to make this? Shop Wild Things has so many incredible vases and floral. I was like, okay, it's just kind of a no-brainer. Use some of their stuff because there's too many options in the best way possible. You could come up with so many different combinations. So I chose this trumpet vase. It's gold and has this beautiful little crystal in the middle. And I thought, okay, this is nice and tall, because when you're doing centerpieces for tables at a wedding, you either want them to be less than 12 inches so you could see over them and you could see across the table because you want people to interact, or if they're going to be taller, make sure the bottom is nice and narrow, and then you're looking at least 24 inches ideally before the bulk of the centerpiece kicks in, so the floral at the top, anything like that, so that it's very minimal disruption of line of sight across the table. So this type of centerpiece works perfect for that. It's a beautiful trumpet vase. I went ahead and used some florals, some peonies. Shop Wild Things has amazing roses, so many different to choose from, real life touch looking ones, beautiful velvet finish ones. So I went ahead, mixed and matched those. Again, all of the links are in the description, so if you want to do this yourself, I got you. And then just knowing that there's so much crystal going on and I'm me and I like the sparkles, I thought this would be a good time to add in some crystals. And thankfully Shop Wild Things has some little dangly crystals that are about 6 inches or so. And they have them in all sorts of different shapes and stuff. I just liked the curved ones. I thought they were a nice contrast with this. But you choose what you like. And they also match the centerpiece, I will say. So if you're going to buy the centerpiece, maybe get these crystals. But anyways. And then I realized, okay, well, I love this tablecloth. I think it's a nice pop of contrast here, a little texture. And then I realized that Shop Wild Things has this larger, taller votive with a very similar print. So I was like, okay, well, we're obviously using that. Obviously. We have our nice tall floral centerpiece. I am choosing one of these tabletop candelabras from Shop Wild Things. And I love it because it's crystal. It looks so beautiful. It fits in perfectly. Like I could see this in that scene anyways. And they have them in a lot of different shapes and sizes and combinations, but this is just the one that stuck out to me. And I, of course, will link down below, so don't worry. And then I went ahead and just took some of their little ivy vines that they have. And in my mind, I would like to see just a little bit of greenery wrapped in, so you could see how this is the candelabra as it stands. And then I put a little bit of greenery around the bottom, just for interest. And then if we took one of the silk rose garlands that they sell and wrapped it around it, I think we would do something like this. And that's what I came up with as one of our additional centerpieces. Now, again, if you're not really worried about line of sight or anything like that, then a taller centerpiece like this would be perfect. But also, if you have a lot of tables in a room, just be mindful of the centerpieces being in the way if you have to make sure everybody needs to see a stage for a long period of time. But otherwise, if you're just having a small wedding or a little get-together at home, this centerpiece is gorgeous and your guests will love it. Okay, so that's centerpiece number 2. So we need a loaf centerpiece. Now, I couldn't help but notice, obviously this is just a great scene in the first episode. The sassy ladies are being sassy, but I loved the chandelier that they had, and I thought, that actually, obviously it's very old and historical and whatever, but I could see that in a modern house in the right setting. So I was like, that was my inspiration. And then I found this little doll of a floral riser. It could be a cake stand or whatever you want to use it for, with beads and everything, beautiful crystal beads from Shop Wild Things. And so I was like, well, I mean, it does look pretty similar, and I do like it quite a bit, and it's going to match the gold centerpiece that we have up here without being too over the top gold, because again, I don't think the focus on this event is gold, it's the beautiful neutrals, but this is a nice way to accent those. So again, keeping some greenery, I just really think ivy is a good fit. They used ivy's universal, some peonies I think would be beautiful if you wanted to mix in some roses. A nice or slow round ball of floral would be beautiful, I think, on this, especially if you had some nice cute little votives around it. This is something that you could easily make yourself, and if you want to know how to make that and have questions about it, put them down in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to either link tutorials that I've already done, or who knows, maybe I'll make you a tutorial just for this. So here are the finished centerpieces, and there's a lot on this screen, so I want to just take a minute and go through what we have. So this was our nice, beautiful candelabra with beautiful crystals and everything, and I chose to put that on the more beige, not beige, it's more like, it's kind of ivory. I think it's more ivory. The ivory tablecloth, because I think those are going to be nice, light and bright together. I like this combination of the green and gold with the literally green and gold here. And I think because there's such a, not that this is so busy, but this is the statement pattern, if you will, for the tablescapes. I just wanted to have its moment. So that's why we have the nice pattern low and then the floral arrangement high. So your eye is going to travel really, really well through this, and it's going to be very seamless and very pleasant. We also have now this green, just a nice hunter dark green tablecloth with our low centerpiece, beautiful florals, simple, elegant. You put some votives. You know, we found these beautiful lattice votives that Shop Wildling has that's a little bit taller. That might be good for these. And then we'll get a lower gold textured votive, mercury glass something for this, and it would be gorgeous, and it's going to make those crystals shine extra bright. Now, I'm going along the lines of, if you're getting these linens, you're probably getting chairs brought in or something, so you can't go wrong with the gold chivari. Gold and white is a very classic go-to chair for weddings, and this is no exception, and it's going to bring in that gold without being over the top. And as far as napkins go, I got the ones that I went for were a gold, because I thought the gold and the green are going to look nice on all of the tables that we use. Let's make sure you can see that. So they're going to look nice here. They're going to look nice on here, although on this table, I would probably go for the gold, and then the same on here. I'd probably go for the gold as well, but I like the green on here. But honestly, if you wanted to do gold on all of them and not even use the green, that would totally make sense, and it would look very elegant, and I think it could layer very beautifully. Now, I don't want to assume that you're watching this and you're like, yep, I'm going to call my local, floral and chair rental and linens, and I'm going to do this, because I get it. I love doing DIYs myself, and this is such a fun theme, especially for a watch party with the upcoming season of Bridgerton, only a few months away at this point. So I'm thinking, okay, if I was going to do this myself and I had to buy stuff, what would I get? And so that's what I want to draw your attention to here in this top corner. All these chargers, you can rent them. There's plenty of companies that rent them. You can also buy them online. They're plastic or resin or something like this. I have my links down below, so you can see what I'm talking about. I've seen several vendors selling them, so shop around, find the color combination that you like. I think the gold is beautiful, especially because it's really elegant. It's simple. You can reuse it, and think about it. If you get the gold, you could reuse that for other holidays if you wanted to. If you want to do Christmas or something, you're buying this, you might as well use it for New Year's or something. And then they do also offer white and gold that I saw, which I was like, this would look really pretty on these tables, especially the green. I think would pop beautifully. So all purchasable. A nice ivory mask, just basic linen, or maybe they're not linen, they're probably polyester napkins, but still, you do a nice simple fold like this. This fold is so easy to do, very classic, very elegant. You cannot go wrong with it, whether you want it to be standing up or laying down. And if you're not sure how to do this napkin fold, let me know. I've been doing this literally forever, so I'm happy to show you how I do them. And then I found this green tablecloth online, and they have it in a few different colors. It's essentially damask, but I just saw this color and I was like, it looks beautiful. I could really see this going well, especially if you were doing this like earlier on in the year with still kind of winter-esque out. And then the internet has so many amazing things. This is a plastic, essentially disposable set of servingware that's plates, dinner plates, dessert plates, forks, like in your cutlery, like whole set ready to go. So if you're like, you know what, I'm going to call my friends, we're going to have a watch party before the next season comes out, and this is, Lady Danbury is the theme, you could literally buy this all online and have it show up probably, I don't know, by the end of the week. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can find online. So we covered the altar. We covered all of our centerpieces and tablescapes, some seating. So what else goes into a wedding? In this instance, we're planning for a wedding. This could be a party, whatever you wanted to do. So for me, I'm like, okay, the wedding stuff that's important in a wedding, besides the altar, when you get to the venue, you look at your tablescape and then you look at the dance floor, because that is where you're going to be spending some time, hopefully. And in the opening scenes of this episode, we see Lady Danbury's staff going ahead and touching up the paint on the floor, which is all custom, hand painted by artisans. And that dance floor, in this instance, is the entrance to the dance floor, to the ballroom space, but it's actually very common in dance floor rental companies. I think you can even get vinyl rentals and Etsy these, or not rentals, but custom vinyl for floors. I believe I've seen on Etsy, but I thought, I've had dance floors wrapped more times than I can even remember. And it's very simple. You could do something as elegant as this. You could do something like this graphic that I made on my own, just using basic graphics. I mean, you could get your initials put in there if this was for a wedding, or, so many different combinations, but it's the little details like these sometimes that stand out. And if you are bringing in a dance floor for rental purposes, ask your local supplier and see what they charge, because sometimes they'll offer like just one color, so maybe white. Let's say like this one might be only a few $100s extra, depending on the type of design, whatever. So something to consider. Now, crystals. We see crystals as the ball is getting set up. We see crystals in the background. We see the camera is painting over crystals. It's crystal gorgeousness in there. And I think we would be amiss if we didn't use crystals more often. And I thought, okay, well, if we're doing a wedding, you're going to need a bar for a wedding. And so I thought, okay, we're going to use one of the fabulous greenery walls from Shop Wild Things, because I think having that greenery in the wall and not just on the table is going to help make this look beautiful and elegant. But I think because we don't really see much more than maybe the columns, or you can see a little bit of the textured curtains in some of these, but those walls might not necessarily be the walls that you're going to get to enjoy, and you might not like your venue walls. So greenery walls like these are a nice way to kind of help make a vignette and an area special to what you like. So a greenery wall, and if you're setting up the greenery wall yourself, Shop Wild Things has a whole kit, so you could just buy it and boom, put it up. If you're renting it, that's fine too. You could talk to your local decor company about renting beautiful chandeliers like these, or asking if you could supply your own and have them hang them for you. There's a lot of different ways to rig the chandeliers. I've seen them hung, if you're doing an outdoor wedding, people hang them from trees. Obviously with the right connections and everything, but it's very possible to secure these over your bar several different ways depending on the size of them. And then a basic gold bar like this is pretty common. Most decor companies have them. So they're gold bars, white frames. Sometimes they glow, sometimes they don't, but again, you can customize them with your own monograms and whatever special information maybe you want your pictures on here. But I thought, just for those details being cohesive, I thought this was a great way to do it. And I like more. I'm a more is more type person. So I thought, okay, if we're going to have some cocktail tables in the area, we're going to have all this greenery, we need some more fresh, floral looking elements like we see in Lady Danbury's ball. So I chose these beautiful roses on a wire stem from Shop Wild Things, so you can bend them to whatever shape you want. And then they have these beautiful little star ivory essentially little bushes picks, and I thought, okay, this is a great way to spruce up this greenery. And if you've not worked with artificial walls like these before, you can easily add additional layers of foliage in, like florals and whatnot, to really layer it up and make it look cool. We did a little jazzing up, and boom, here we are. I just thought, having the corners softened to kind of frame that chandelier is going to look really spectacular. And then I always like to have not I my cocktail tables, if I had my way, especially for a cocktail hour at a wedding, people are not going to be staying there very long. It's literally an hour long at best most of the time. So you don't need to spend a huge amount of money on it, but the nice set of votives, especially the taller votives that we found earlier from Shop Wild Things that match this, those are going to be taller than the regular ones that are about half the size. So they're going to be able to stand on their own. And then again, going back to the bar being customized, if you want, or you're having a custom wedding signature cocktail, or even if it's just a party and you're having a signature cocktail, or you want to put your wine list, whatever, I always love seeing beautiful frames on the bars, just letting guests know what's available to them. And you could have multiples if you wanted a beer one and a wine one if you were doing that. And then I like the idea of having little snacks, just grab and go snacks at the bar while people are waiting. That's just a personal preference that I've done, but having something like a little tier tray or some sort of extra decorative element is great. But I like trays like these because then it's multi-purpose. It's decorative and your guests can get food, and so can't go wrong. So we got our bar section, we got our dance floor, we got our tables, we got our altar, we got so much going on. And then it wouldn't be a wedding without a little bit of a photo booth area. And so for cohesive purposes, keeping the green wall, it's beautiful, it's artificial. Now you could do this theoretically back to back, so you could have a green wall where the bar was on one side and this photo wall was on the other side, depending on what size wedding you were having and what size your bar was and whatnot. So think about that when you're doing this. You would just buy two of the setups potentially and just do them back to back. Or you could just put them in another part of the venue space, your house, whatever. And so I thought, okay, you can make this wall. They sell them in kits, so you can buy, I think, in a certain set size. I want to say it's like 8x8 or something like that. But you could also buy the individual panels. They sell the panels, so you could decide, just like we did with the arch initially for the altar arch. You can see, like, they sell them in squares and they're all in different sizes, so read the descriptions. But you can make a whole wall of these florals if you wanted, or you can make a whole wall of just boxwood if you wanted. I mean, there's literally so many options. So greenery wall, because you want the guests to be the focus. And I think if you did the florals on the photo wall, it might not be as pleasing for the eye when you see the pictures with all of the floral in the background. But they have, the Shop Wild Things has these wonderful frames that I want to say are like a plastic or acrylic or something, and they're lightweight, so you could either already layer them onto the wall so it just looks like they're in the background, or if you wanted to hang them in front of the wall so your guests would stand behind them and kind of frame themselves in them. I mean, so many combinations you could do, but I think these match the vibe of the Danbury house very well. And again, flanking the photo area with just some nice little vignettes, like these little urns with the floral, really just help soften and complete the look and make it look like you got all the details in. And maybe you do. Okay, so we're getting down to some of the last little details of what you might need in a wedding. If this is really truly a wedding, I found this beautiful tablecloth that you could do for your cake table. And then I was like, oh man, you need to have a cake fountain, right? I mean, you don't, but you could, and you would look very appropriate for this look. And so when I found the combination of these, I was like, this has got to go in. It's perfect. I love the idea of a fountain. Like, that just seems like such an appropriate thing. And then I found this picture on the internet, which, has all the information, and you could see our mantle over here, but this must have been a close-up of one of the shots from the buffet, I'm assuming, that they had on set. And I laugh every time I see these egg or artichokes. I think these are artichokes that are spray painted gold. You could buy fake artichokes and spray paint them gold. People, you could do this. This is very reasonable. I believe in you. But what we're seeing here is beautiful textured curtains behind it. We have this mirror and this frame, and while the frame isn't gold, it definitely reminds me of these frames over here. So we've got candelabras with crystals and frames and beautiful damask fabrics and gold and just tiers and layers. And I'm like, okay, your local venue might be able to set up a display similar, but if you were having a party at home, what would you do? okay, well, here's what I would do. So I found this linen, which I realize is not an official damask linen, but I liked the fringe. I thought that was very nice if you were setting up a buffet table. I just thought it was just a little fun as people were walking by. And of course the crystal candelabra with maybe a little floral arrangement. If you are putting a candelabra on a buffet table like this, please use LED candles for your safety, for your guest safety. Like, you don't need to have the fire department show up and crash your party. LED candles. LED candles. And Shop Oil Things actually does have LED candles. I've used them before in some of my designs they sent to me for fall. And I used a taupe kind of neutral set, and they look really pretty in here. So you could buy those. You can get things like these tier stands, which I think are very universal. These are more plastic focused and metal. They're inexpensive, but they're neutral enough where, yes, they're white and gold and they go with our theme right now. But if you bought this because you were throwing a party, you could use this honestly for pretty much any themed party, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, whatever, birthday parties. And it's so neutral that it would blend in. If you wanted to get a little bit more fancy, you could get something like this one I found online. It has very beautiful detailing on it, like florals. It just looks, you know, we got palm trees of some sort of here, and I was like, okay, I see where we're going. We could do this. This is a little bit more pricier, so it depends on, you know, what type of setup you want. And then I thought, okay, if I'm doing this at home and I'm not necessarily having a formal bar, a bar cart like this, nice and clean and simple, would be totally sufficient for a house party. And then getting trays like these tiered trays, I'll link to this one down below. I've seen them in a white or off-white finish like this with a gold trim. They also sell them in like a plastic or glass, essentially clear finish to mimic crystal. And then of course, I mean, little gold tongs. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, that would be perfect for all of this. Well, that concludes our Danbury Ball wedding inspiration. I hope you've enjoyed this Decorate With Me series. This is technically our second one for the Bridgerton series. I've enjoyed it, and if you want to see more Bridgerton inspired pieces, let me remind you that I have things like this, the dream from the first season of Bridgerton that Daphne had with this magical tree that I turned into a bit of a reading nook during the pandemic, during lockdown, because I needed some me space. So I made this tutorial, which is available online on my YouTube and blog, of course. I also have things like this tablescape from spring last year, inspired by the Featheringtons, as I'm sure those of you who've watched the show recognize the color palette a little bit. And then, of course, there's the first Decorate With Me that we did not too long ago, inspired by the Bridgerton house in London. I thought this is going to be a gorgeous spring wedding for somebody, just inspired by the front. Look at all the foliage, the dogwood, the wisteria, and long story short, we made some amazing stuff in that. So check out that series. I have the YouTube thumbnail links up already here for you. The description has all of the materials that I linked to and used in my design down below. And then make sure you subscribe, because I plan on continuing this series, because I love the Bridgerton series and I love the Decorate With Me concept of showing you guys how me as a professional, if I was going to DIY this, what would I do? If I was going to rent stuff, what would I do? And so it's very educational, and whether you're throwing a big party at your home, a small dinner party at your home, a wedding, an anniversary party, whatever, you can learn from this and figure out how you could DIY things yourselves. And if you're trying to DIY anything, you're always welcome to DM me, especially on Instagram, and I will do my best to help you figure out whatever you're working on. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye.